lot of people come to me and they say, we want to sell online. And many times they have no plan. They don't understand the intricate details that go into it. They'll come in with a $3, $5 item and think that they're going to make millions, but they haven't thought anything through. And that's the problem.
This episode, we're going to talk about selling online. That basically affects every business. So please pay attention. There are so many parts to this one. We could do several episodes on it, but we're going to try to just give an overview and fly through some of this stuff. First of all, let's start right at the beginning. There are legal and tax considerations and all that in setting up your online store. You got to clear those before anything else.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people realize that you have to collect tax, and if you don't collect tax, you have to have a platform that collects the tax for you. There's a lot of companies out there, whether it's Shopify or whatever, but that do it for you. But I remember back in the day when I first started e-commerce, you had to set up all the tax implication, all the calculations, and literally select the states that you're selling in, and they were all different. I mean, anyone that knows about taxes can be different. It can be state taxes, it can be county taxes. I mean, they're depending upon where you are in the United States or even the world. There are certain taxes that need to be collected. So when you're thinking about selling online, just make sure that you ask the question, does the platform that I'm using actually collect the tax, or, do we have to, what do we need to do? Because you can't just act ignorant and say, oh, I didn't know, because people want their money.
And yeah, especially the government. So you basically have hinted at two situations. One is where someone is like starting from scratch, building the website around a store. Mm-hmm. Square is pretty good on that one. And then there are a lot of people that actually have the website and they've been in business, and they're like, well, heck, maybe I'll try selling online. Those are two different scenarios.
Right.
And you gotta, there's different strategy for each side.
Right. Yeah, if you're just starting, you got to ask a million different questions. Is this a lifestyle that I want to do? Is really the first question. I always sit down with people and I say, okay, let's do some simple math. And when I say math, we talk about shipping a lot. And I say, who's working on this? And they'll say, well, it's, I have X number of units in my garage. And I say, okay, so are you shipping this? And they say, yes. Okay, great. How fast can you take a box, tape it up, put the product in there, put packing peanuts or whatever you want to put in there, print the label, fix the label, tape the box shut, stack it, do another one? Is that going to take you 5 minutes to do, 3 minutes to do? And we start to have that conversation. Oh, I can do it fast. Okay, well, let's double it just to be simple here. But now let's multiply that by X number, so there's 60 minutes in an hour, and you can do 5 per, one every 5 minutes. That's 12 boxes an hour. And how many hours do you want to work a day? Do you want to work 10 hours boxing things? Sounds like a horrible idea, but now you're boxing 120 boxes a day, and let's say you make a couple dollars on each thing that you send. Is that worth your time? Really? Honestly? So, if you make $2, if you're selling a product that makes you $2 and you sell 120 boxes, it made $240, and you spent 10 hours boxing. I've done the boxing before. I've spent till 3 o'clock in the morning boxing things up, and you might as well take Red Bull and Monster and just invest in it, because that's about the only way you're going to stay awake doing it. So just realize that a lot of people want to do these types of things, but you have to start asking the real questions. And do you want to do that?
It typically, Matt Hansen, clinical professor, that's what he is supposed to do in class, and certainly will bring up some of the pitfalls that are going to be out there. One of the pitfalls is it, let's talk about some, let's go through some of these. Does your customer want this?
Right. Yeah. So before we jumped on today, we were talking about a company that wanted to sell paint supplies online, and I had a conversation with them. If you want paint, most of the times you're going to go to a big box store. You're going to buy the paint there. You're going to buy your paintbrushes and things like that. But this is what this individual wanted to do. They wanted to sell paint. They wanted to sell paintbrushes. So I started asking the question, right? Why would your customer go there versus a Home Depot or a Lowe's or a Menards or whatever else is out there, right? And they said, well, it's specialty paint. I said, okay, well, what does this specialty paint do? Because there's a lot of specialty paint. And I couldn't really kind of get an answer out of this person other than it's specialty paint. And I thought, okay, well, if I need paint, I'm not going to pay shipping when I could just run over to a Home Depot or a Lowe's or whatever. If I need a paintbrush, same thing. And so you got to start to ask the question, like, is this an online business? Because if I need that stuff, odds are I'm just going to go run and go get it. Now, I get it that Home Depot and Lowe's and Menards and all the other True Values and all that may not necessarily be close to your house. You may have to drive an hour. Is it worth the extra? Is it worth $10 in shipping or $7 in shipping? So those are the questions you have to ask when you're looking from a customer standpoint. Are they willing to shop for this type of product online?
And so now all right, it seems like I've done some customer discovery and you're ready to go. I mean, I mentioned Square. We've used several online platforms to kind of get to that one, and that was only because they bought our other one.
Right.
And but you got to different platforms work better with different size businesses and different types of businesses.
Right. Yeah, and there's a variety of questions when you look at the platform, the ease of use. I mean, are you well versed in coding? To be honest, I mean, most people aren't. It amazes me how many people will come to me and say, "Hey, can you fix this on the coding side?" And I'm not a coder, but through the years I've kind of figured these things out.
You can just run it through AI; they'll fix it for you now.
Exactly, that's the beautiful part. But each one of the platforms has different features. Maybe they take a certain percentage of what you sell. Maybe there are bells and whistles that one has over another, right? So back in the day when I first started selling in the e-commerce space, I was we had Yahoo Shopping, and it was a very archaic system, and you had to basically put all kinds of stuff on the back end, and most people didn't understand what was going on. So if I walked out and got hit by a bus tomorrow, everyone that was working with us probably wouldn't have any idea how to run it. And but today it's a lot easier, right? So today you can set up an e-commerce shop, relatively simple. But the question is, once you set it up, you're going to start seeing questions along the way. And those are some of the other things that we're going to talk about today.
So payment systems.
Yep.
The two biggies that a lot of people know are PayPal and Stripe. But there are a number of other payment systems, even sometimes your own local bank.
Right.
And you got to choose one.
Right.
And you got to stick with one.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these platforms will allow you to put multiple ways to pay in there. I even see Bitcoin, right? So, I mean, there's a variety of ways that you can pay for things, but realize that some of them will incorporate a large majority and some will stick to one or two. If you start to set these things up, if you said, well, I want to take PayPal and Stripe and all these other things, does the platform actually provide that for you? Do you have an easy way to integrate your account? Do you want to go ahead and do that? Because there are some, there's always fees and there's all this other stuff. If you've ever seen, and probably most of the people that are listening have dealt with payment processing and credit card machines and those types of things. I mean, it's a big business and there's a reason for it. So you got to ask all these questions, especially when you're picking a platform, because it's the same conversation you're having in store when you're dealing with the payment processors. It doesn't change just because you're online.
Well, it's a similar situation when you're used to bricks and mortar and you're able to bring it out to the register or, maybe even mail something. You know what is coming and going. But if you're selling online and then all of a sudden, let's say your volume increases or it just so happens that, say, two of your items are really important, you got to be able to track that.
Yeah. Well, not to go a different direction here, but I feel you need a partner with your payment processor as well. The reason I say that, I remember it was Cyber Monday, and I received a $28,000 order from Brazil, right? get the phone call. You think, oh, 28 grand, this is great. No, don't. Right? We canceled it. We talked to them about it. They thought it was fraud. So imagine I send $28,000 in inventory out the door. That would bankrupt a lot of businesses, let's be honest. So you need a partner with this, and there's a lot of things that go into this, and I don't want to get into the technical details. I mean, if we do that, we've got some other people we can bring on that want to talk through that. But just realize, like, there's a million different things that you can get into here that could cause you some real distress.
What about shipping?
Shipping's always a fun one. I remember back in the day when we were shipping from our e-commerce store. I knew we had a 6x6x6 box, a 6x6x9 box, a 12x12x12 box, and so forth. And I knew exactly when I looked at the product which one was going with which, what it was going, how fast I could turn that thing over, where I had to have everything. And my UPS man absolutely hated me because we would have 300 boxes sitting in the store and there was no loading dock. So he would literally have to come in with the wheeled dolly,
with a
and he would
hand
take them out.
truck? Are you kidding
And
me?
think about it, these little 6x6x6 or
Oh,
6x6x9.
and they're kind of fragile.
Yeah, and I used to treat him really well, to be honest. But when you look at shipping, we knew that based on weight, certain shipping partners were better. So to a certain point, we knew that we should send it UPS or we should send it through the post office or whatever. But you need to understand that because many people will just pick one and they'll overpay for shipping. Maybe they offer free shipping and now you're paying $8 when you really should be paying $3.80. So you're just giving money away. So find the right shipping solution for you and start to ask the questions. Because if you talk to UPS or FedEx or whomever, even the post office, go see your local postmaster and say, here's what I'm planning on doing. How can I make sure I have the cheapest postage possible? They'll actually work with you, right? So you can actually set up some kind of agreements with them because they want your business.
Matt, we went yesterday to Podcast Movement and went around and kind of trying to learn this. This is kind of new for both of us, but some of the techniques are stuff I learned in your class. A lot of A/B testing, and we'll talk about that at one point, but they spend an inordinate amount of time for a podcast conference, the audio and video conferencing, about what your thumbnail should be, what your photo should look like, how you should place the description of the podcast, what are the key words that you're learning. It sounded very much like what you were saying in the classes when you were telling people to set up online stores about product descriptions and, the actual photos.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, we are sold by the photos that we look at. If you're buying something online, the photo is the first thing that you look at, and then you may look at the description. So you have to have really good photos of your products. A lot of people will just grab a photo, they throw it up there like, if they want it, they'll buy it. And in reality, it's supposed to entice somebody to move to that, to add it to their cart. So, I mean, I don't know how many times you've done it, but you'll do a search for something, you'll go to a website, you'll look at the image, and you're just like, this looks a little shady. I don't really trust this. I'm going to go somewhere else.
I'm looking at golf clubs right now.
Right.
And I know specifically what I want. And there's one that I want, but I'm like, the pictures are horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, invest in, if you can't shoot your own photos of your products, and that is a process in itself because
lighting.
Oh, goodness. We had just our own, we had 210 different SKUs that we were selling online. So imagine all of that. The only way that I got away with doing that was the manufacturer gave me all of the images. So we used that. But, I've had other clients that custom build things and then they say, oh, well, I'll just snap a photo, and you get it, you just cringe because the lighting is all off. It doesn't look appetizing whatsoever. And, I know we were talking about food photography a while back. I mean, that's the hardest thing to do. So, the photos that you see online have to represent what you're selling. Otherwise, it comes across as just really a bad experience for the buyer.
You had 210 products I'm guessing that you had to not sell some that either had low profit margins or were going to be hard to ship or
Right.
something. But really, it comes down to trying to put your best money making foot forward.
Right. Yeah. Highlight the ones that are your best, right? We talk about the 80/20 principle all the time. We had product that we would sell 400 items in 2 months. And then you had one that you'd maybe sell like three over the 3 months. And you don't promote those because they're just not, they're there if somebody wants them. And most honestly, like, do you even want to carry them because they're just not moving? You talk about shelf space and, but if you're selling online and you're doing any kind of volume, if you're not shipping it to Amazon to ship out and you're doing it yourself, you got to realize that you've just doubled your retail space because you need the inventory. So you've got to put shelves up and have the ability. So
Shelving is secretly very expensive, by the way.
I built my own, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah.
I literally built my own. So we had roughly around 2,500 square feet of inventory space in a basement. And we built our own. And I literally learned the logistics of putting the products that sell the most were next to the packing table. And then they went out from there. So, the ones that you sold three of over the year, those were way in the back and they were there if you needed them. But, stuff that you're selling 400 of constant, right? That was right there. I just grabbed. So, yeah.
So you get all this set up, and then you start to get some regular
Mm-hmm.
customers. And in your bricks and mortar, it's 80/20. You're making most of your money on your 20%.
Right.
And those people trust you.
Yeah.
They come in the store, they know who you are. You may not be there, but at least they understand the trust aspect of it. How do you cultivate that online?
Yeah. I mean, we've had reviews for years at this point. Many people look at reviews as a starting point. There's a lot of padded reviews out there. I hope none of our listeners are doing that, but it happens. But I think the photos of people that are reviewing are a little bit more trusting than anything, right? So whether you have a good and a bad, but you see this a lot where you'll have 500 reviews and they're all positive. And if you're like me, you're going, no, that's
No way.
not the case, right?
No way.
It's the same thing with we talk about Google Business Profile. If there's not a single bad review on there, oh, so you're perfect. I mean, let's be honest. We're human beings. We mess up from time to time. Um, Reviews are interesting. Making sure that you're getting press out there and people are talking about you. Make sure that kind of stuff is on the website. But you mentioned the 80/20. The people that buy from you many times are just going to come back over and over and over again. So just make sure that they're happy. Make sure that they're getting a good experience. And one of the things that I always like to do was your best customers order from you, throw a little extra in that box, right? Give them one extra thing that they didn't know was coming. They love that. Like they will comment on that all day long.
Well, that's almost the final thing I was going to hit is you got to market this.
Yeah.
That's a marketing technique. Eventually, you want to get, you use this all the time in your classes, is return on ad spend.
Right.
And ultimately, you got to do that. Just like everybody else, you got to market that online portion.
I had a client years ago that wanted to build an e-commerce website, and we had the conversation with her, and she said, "Oh, this is everybody knows me, and we're going to build this." And I said, "That's great, but how are you going to market this?" And she said, "Don't worry about it. I've got that. Just we're going to build the website." So we built this gorgeous website, and I knew it was going to happen. Kept having the conversation. How are you going to market? Oh, don't worry about it. Okay. Built this gorgeous website. I mean, it would rank up there with any of these big huge websites. She ran for about 3 months, and I kept asking. She kept saying that she was going to be fine. About 5 months later, she declared bankruptcy, and I said, "What are you doing? I've been telling you, you are literally a website that is in the middle of the desert that nobody knows is out there. Great website, great product, great personality. Nobody knew about him."
Well, in general, that's a lot of people get to that point where they've already spent all their money building their business.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not peculiar. It's not limited to online
Right.
businesses. Just on an aside, what percentage for your small to medium sized business in a local area? What percentages do you usually put out there that you should use for marketing?
I, the way I look at it is, a lot of people will say a percentage of sales, right? So I'm going to put 5, 10, 15% of what my sales are back into marketing. What I say to people is, if you know your numbers, you should look at it more like an objective task method, right? So if I want to get 200 orders this year and it costs me $32 to get an order, I just do the simple math there, right? So 200 times 32, and that should be my budget. Um, Many people don't know those numbers, and I know we talk a lot about understanding your numbers, but
CAC is what you're talking about,
right.
right?
So I mean,
Customer acquisition.
if you know your numbers, if you know that it's going to cost you $32 to get an order, and you're selling something that is, let's say, $100, um, and you say, okay, well, this year I want to sell X, you just multiply that number and you say that's my budget. Simple objective task method. But and that's going to fluctuate. I get that, but it gives you a rough idea where you need to be. Many people just kind of wing it. They just say, well, I'm going to put $3,000 into marketing this year, and the problem is the people that do that, they don't track anything. They don't know what's happening. They're like, well, I put $3,000 in, nothing happened. Well, it starts with the fact that you didn't really put the effort into it. So if you don't understand what you're doing, don't put the money into it, because you might as well just take the 3,000, torch it, and light it on fire. But
Sum it up on selling online, setting up a store.
get to know all the details that go into it, right? So it's not just I'm going to build a store today and this afternoon, and I'm going to upload 5 products. It is all about inventory management. I mean, there has been times where I've had orders sitting because I can't get the inventory. That's not a good. It's not good when you're calling up customers. Understand the tax situation. Understand how you're going to ship. Are you the one that's going to be doing the shipping, or is it going to be somebody else? A lot of people are jumping into Amazon. A lot of people are jumping out of Amazon for basic reasons. And I don't want to get into that today. But find what works for you and go that direction. Do what's comfortable and realize that you are now doubling the work of what you're doing, because now you've opened it up to the world. So you're going to get all kinds of things. You're going to get people that will order from you, and they'll cancel the orders, or there'll be fraud, or there's all kinds of things that you're going to uncover. But just don't go into it with these big eyes that say, oh, this is going to be great, we're going to sell millions. It is another job. So just start to think about all the intricate details before you jump in. I will tell you that I do have many clients that are doing really well with it, but they understand it.
Yeah, it's like anything else, there's a learning curve. Mastering local marketing. This is episode 24. Want to sell online? Know this first, and go into the transcripts, and we'll put a little list of these 10. So until next time,
Yeah.
thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you.
Until next time, see you later.